Good day, this is Pastor Michael Mitchell at God's Barn Church. How you doing today? Give me 5 minutes. Today we're going to talk about something that's odd. It's do each of our three religions, which is the Jewish, Islam, and Christianity. We are from the tribe of Abraham. That's our God, ours. Not anybody else's, but our God. That's what I'm talking about. Muslims and Christian Jewish folks through birthright, Christians through branching through adopted through Jesus Christ. Now there's always a question on, prior to Christ, did people go to heaven? Right? You see, I'll just give you a little tidbit. I was on this land that was defiled. And the era of this land, the best I can tell through archaeological effects, was around 4,000 years ago. And for some reason there, when I first got on this land, there were hundreds of people there, or spirits, that were captive. They were held captives because there was a huge demonic fortress there in the barn. A barn being a stable, a place where animals are kept, you see. And I saw this relationship where these demons had captured these people. And I knew this. I knew, number one, that they had the presence of God on them. You could feel the presence of God in them, you see. That's how I knew that. That is from people that never knew Jesus thousands of years ago. They didn't know anything about Jerusalem or anything else. But they had prayed to God thousands of years ago, and God had heard their prayer. And there must have been a whole village there, my friend. But as far as do Jewish people go to heaven if they are not Christians? Well, the Bible details that. It tells us about Lazarus and the rich man going to hell, Lazarus going to heaven. It also describes it on the transformation of the mountain where Moses and Elijah talked to Jesus. They were from heaven. They were from next door in the nearest town. They were from heaven. Those are examples of people we know of through history prior to Jesus Christ that had been through heaven. Now, do Muslims do this? Absolutely, absolutely. How do I know that? Because they're my flock. I have been with these people. I have preached in their mosques. I've talked about this a lot. And the presence of God is with them. Just like everybody else. There are good people and there are bad people. Now, where does Christianity come in? Where does Jesus Christ come in? If they're getting saved that way, why have Christ? Well, I'll tell you why. Because everything was designed, the two religions, Islam and Judaism, were designed that way until the Messiah came. Everything was created on the pretext and the understanding that someday the Messiah would come and you did not have to worship in a fleshly thing. You would not have to have 600 laws and do all kinds of things to make sure that you were going to get saved. You see, when you worship that way, and you, like I just said, you can't get to heaven, it is can be a very difficult way to do that. You see, without the presence and protection of Jesus Christ, against Satan, you folks are in a tight situation here. That's why you have to worship in a group that way. You see, that is one of the main reasons. But it was merely designed to when the Messiah comes. Now, having said that, there's nothing I know that you can worship Jesus Christ and go to a mosque. There's nothing that says you can worship Jesus Christ and go to a synagogue. And there's nothing that says you can worship Jesus Christ and go in a church. No, he is the author and the finisher of our faith. You see, he was taken to a older way of human worship, flesh worship, to a spiritual worship. That's all. That's just what it is. He died on a cross for our sins, allowing us to be able to approach God. able to approach God because our spirit is alive. And we know that God, Allah, and Jehovah is a spirit. And we are to worship him in the spirit. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, peace.